Welcome back, everyone, to the best and brightest Star Wars show in the galaxy, the Chatooine show. In today's episode, we're going to answer the age-old question: Can 100 men beat one gorilla? Seems to be the talk of the town at the moment. Lunga, I think we both said 100 men. Can one Sith beat 100 Jedi? I think so. I think depending on the Jedi. But yeah, I've been playing SWTOR lately, and boy, you talk about overpowered. Oh my god, it's nothing like Starkiller. You're like summoning clouds from the sky. But today we're covering Andor season 2, episodes 4, 5, and 6, which released Tuesday night. Of course, if you're watching this live, listening to it later, leave a like, help us out, and be sure to follow us on all the socials. Lunga, this 3-week episode arc, yet again, I've noticed a trend with Andor. It causes some discussion in the fandom with its story choices. What was your initial reaction to watching these past 3 episodes? Yeah. Well, and I think you're really seeing the political sides of things, not even the political culture war Star Wars fandom. Oh, oh no. I was about to say, I wonder if I can hear you on my phone or not. No, yeah, I can hear me, but yeah, I guess I can't hear you. Mm. Well, 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 you guys didn't know, but Lunga agreed with
There we
me
go.
that
All
a
right.
100 men would beat one gorilla. So
Okay,
that's the
now you guys
important
will hear
stuff.
me.
Again, how you're not keeping up with the social medias of the world, and
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah. I want to
Star
get
Wars
it.
fandom has just absolutely gone insane.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, what I said was I agreed 100 men women, and I said to go off of what Only said before I get into my reaction of it is, I'm not really following a lot of stuff on social media right now. In response to this, mainly because with and not to be like certain people we know that you just don't get it. It's not what I'm saying. It's people just refuse to watch it, and they're pretty much cutting their nose to spite their face. They just don't want to like anything that Disney puts out. It's all woke, it's all garbage, it's all this, it's all that, so on and so forth. So I don't know. It's just dumb.
Well,
People
it
to be
reminds
saying
me a
that.
little bit of the Acolyte, because what happened with the Acolyte is kind of what's happening here with Andor. Acolyte had people going into it saying, "I'm not watching it because it's Disney Star Wars and it's woke and it has diversity of characters and all that stuff." And people like me and you were championing it from day one when it was announced. We're like, "All right, we're excited for this." It comes out, it sucks. People like me and you switch our stances on it. We're like, "Hey, this was a great concept, but you really dropped the ball." And then people who hated it before, hated it during, didn't cover it or talk shit about it the whole time. Then you had the fandom who loved that it was very diverse, watched the series, and then were, like, adamant that it actually wasn't that bad. But then when they got canceled, they turned on Lucasfilm and Disney, were like, "How dare you give in to the bigots?" You're kinda seeing the same thing again with this 3-week episode arc, because what happened was, with Bix killing the doctor at the end, and then spoiler alert, of course, with any of this, but Cinta dies at the end. A lot of people were upset with her dying because she had just reunited with Vel and everything like that. That's part of, like, the discussion of everything right now. People are upset that they killed this character because it was a gay couple and they had just reunited and everything. They felt like it was bad writing, is what I'd seen. So it's funny because you have these two polar opposite things. You have people who are upset because it's gay characters and that's it. They're just mad that
People
it's gay characters.
people die in war.
Well, and then
They
you have
don't
people upset because they're
save the
killing gay
gay
characters.
people. Okay.
Well, war shouldn't affect them.
war is non-discriminatory. It kills all and any. Okay, that's
The
how
guns
it
are
works.
rated E for everybody. The
Okay,
blasters will shoot at anyone.
yeah,
Anakin
yeah.
proved this too. Anakin killed the
It's
men, the
not
women,
like
and the children.
it's not like the blasters have stun, kill, gay. It's not how it works. Okay,
And Vader would not stand for sexual assault.
Oh yes,
either,
of course
honestly.
not. No, he would
no.
not choke. Force choke my wife. Pretty much terrorize her. This is after I just slaughtered a bunch of children. This is after the previous movie saying I killed not just the men but the women and the children. No, of course not. Why would
Not those
Vader?
creepy vibes of don't look at me like that. He's like, why not? Makes me uncomfortable. He's like, sorry, my lady. You're like, wait a minute. If anybody would do this,
people will justify anything to suit their headcanon of things. It's silly.
And it's sad that it's affecting the fandom because you have this case now with a show like this me and you, this is where I do feel that elitism of like, you just don't, but this is one of those shows where it is like, in my mind, I'm like, all right, objectively, this is the best looking Star Wars show there has ever been. There's nothing you're ever going to be able to tell me to say otherwise. Also, this is the most well-written Star Wars. It may not be your favorite. Mandalorian has those vibes, that fun adventure, that love, that mythological stuff and everything, the lore. It's different for sure. But Andor is written
people
in such a way.
confuse not liking the story with bad writing.
Exactly. That's what I think is the big reaction to this 3-episode arc, is that people just don't like the decisions they made. But I think everything, honestly, was very well done. And so the first 2 people I want to talk about, little arc, I guess, is the kind of the Cassian Bix stuff, because I think what's weird is that you didn't really expect them to get back together. What I love about the series is that, aside from how stunning it looks, is that these characters do feel real. So I feel like when them getting back together, it makes a lot of sense because they have a lot of history, and clearly because of everything they've been through over the past few years, that love is kind of rekindled. It feels authentic to me. It's healthy. Bix is struggling with all the trauma. It's mostly the Imperial Doctor stuff that tortured her. Luthen tests both of them throughout the episodes, and he talks to Bix behind his back and everything like that. And then at the end, she, like we said at the beginning, she captures the Doctor, she tortures him, and I think it's kind of good to see a character get revenge. Like this stuff like this, I felt like was actually very satisfying to see, because you don't really see a lot of characters get this kind of revenge throughout a series, unless it's like Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones. But spanning this over 3 episodes, I think felt fine. Like we were talking about, people were complaining about how this was done because they're saying, oh, this was done too fast. Like they wrapped up her arc, but I don't want to see Bix in this like trauma state for 8 episodes. I don't want this to be like we talked about Damon tripping balls at Harrenhal for like 8 episodes in House of the Dragon season 2. Like, it was too much. Bix did this in 3. It felt satisfying. I don't feel like it was rushed or overdrawn. People are quick to complain about this because they felt like it was rushed, but I don't understand what they thought was going to be like her resolution. Like, would Bix just wake up and stop dreaming? One day she'll wake up and the pain is gone. No. Her way of moving on was like torturing this guy, killing him. And I feel like that was perfect. And most importantly, satisfying way to end the arc.
The only issue I've had with it, really, when I was watching it, I was starting to get those feels of, okay, how long am I going to have to watch her? I really don't care about this anymore. I really don't. It's like, kill her already. You know what I mean? It's like, at this point, I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like, is this all just for a love story between them? Which is silly because he's fucking fallen in love with Jyn Erso in a couple of years. So, it's I'm like,
well, that's like a we're about to die kind of thing. You
you saw the sexual tension between them the entire movie. It was there the whole
movie. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's just that's natural.
Yeah. But so I'm like, this is boring. But I held on because one thing is Andor has proven to me is they do these 3-episode arcs for a reason, because novel idea, an actual story arc that has a beginning, middle, and end. Okay. And what you see in that middle arc, which is usually supposed to be the worst time for the character, when the character is feeling the most defeated, that's that second act, right? And so if we look at these 3 episodes as Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 2 is when they're at their lowest, and that's where Bix was in episode 2, in episode 5. she was at her lowest point, and we see how she's falling into the depression, and she obviously has a lot of PTSD from that not only the trauma she went through with the Imperial torturer guy, but the doctor. I know he is a doctor, but he's a torture guy. That's what he's there for. You know, he's to extract information.
He's an audiophile.
Yeah. But also the trauma that they had losing Brasso and everything that happened on the previous world before they went to hide out here in Luthen's little
and then the assault
going to
the
mattresses
prior in the last arc and everything.
Right.
Like, she's been through a lot.
Yeah.
It makes sense to cover it.
I can understand it. You know what I mean? So it helped me carry on knowing that, you know, by the time we get to the end of the arc, it'll pay off. And it paid off big time because they were showing Luthen came to visit. Okay. Saying how, you know, trying to give her a thing to go out there. And then Cassian was pissed off because why didn't he tell me about it? He just came and told you. You know we're going to talk about it. Then he confronts Luthen, who brilliantly, I love that scene. He's like, you're taking a big risk just coming here. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, to me, that was very important because in other shows even in Star Wars, we question those things. Like someone just shows up on us. It's like, wait, why are you doing this? This doesn't make sense. And they don't even explain it. It's just like, oh, well, we got to get this. We got to do this exposition dump. So this is where it's going to happen. But no, they give you the tension where Luthen the whole time was trying to make it seem natural, giving the excuse on why you're here.
Yeah, he gives him a gift. He's like, take this,
yeah.
Make it seem like a realistic situation.
And then brings it up again at the end before he leaves. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so you guys have said use these words more than I have, but to make it feel lived in. And these episodes made it feel extremely lived in. Just when they were sitting down eating, and it was nighttime, and it was overcast and rainy outside.
Mm-hmm.
That was just, you don't see that. We have not seen that really in Star Wars.
You don't see that in Star Wars where people are just being people.
With the exception of Kenobi, I've tracked down the bounty hunter.
The rain. Just pouring rain and everything. It's just a normal situation. Yeah, you don't really get that with a lot of Star Wars shows, but this one almost goes out of its way to have those almost boring moments where they're just sitting down and eating. Like one of my favorite parts was Cassian like cooked the food, and she was like, "This is pretty good. You're better than me." He's like, "Oh no, I'm not going to fall for that." That is such a common little conversation between a couple. You know, it's stuff like that felt
they were
genuine.
Buying food, discussing what
they
food
went to a bodega, bro.
Melons.
They went to a fucking bodega. Like, there's a bodega in Star Wars. Do you not want to go to that bodega, Lunga? I want to go to that bodega because it looked.
I want to try one of them melons, right?
All of them. It looks gorgeous. That's what makes this show.
Has he tried a pepper?
He was like, it might be a little spice. And they fake the whole husband thing. And they visit it every other month or something. They break the routine. Like, you do feel that anxiety throughout their entire relationship and everything they got going on in that safe house. But it builds up.
It builds up to what Luthen's point, and they mirrored it, to like we started out with Cassian trying to justify to Bix over and over again why he had to kill that officer. He was wearing the uniform. He was this. He had this. He's not innocent. He's this. And Bix knew you only killed him to protect me because he saw my face. And he was justifying it and being very callous about killing someone that she felt didn't need to die. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he was like really callous about it, and he was justifying it because all for her. And Luthen, where he looks at this rebellion, like this rebellion is his Bix. That's what he cares about. Okay, is the rebellion, and everything can be sacrificed for this rebellion, no matter who they are. And he kept he's trying to tell him, listen, either Bix needs to get back into gear, or she needs to go. That's just how this works.
Yeah, he's the ultimate big picture person.
Yeah. And he was building up to this, they're trying to get her to go out and have a talk with her, which is actually pretty human for Luthen. We haven't seen that too often. He was he was being pretty human with her. But then, to give him the last blinking lights that she seen, that last mission was to get her out. And it was to do the one thing he knew would motivate her. Here's the doctor on a silver platter.
Yeah, she got to kill him. They blew up the place at the end. I don't really remember what the exact thing was, But I'm pretty confident the Doctor's dead. I mean, clearly they blew up the entire thing. But that
Well, yeah, she put him in a
entire
torture
thing,
device on like high. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
he was
no, absolutely.
in that thing on high. And then they walked out the door, and then they boop, boop, and blew up the whole place.
And you know that in a year from now, when they release the next one in the canon timeline for this event, she's going to be a lot better off, and that whole depressive state will probably not have completely, gone away, but she'll be
She's
a
dead,
lot better.
bro.
She'll feel more like herself.
Cassian did not go on what we see in Rogue One and fall in love with Jyn Erso if Bix is still alive. She dies before the end of the series.
I know she dies before the end of the series, but I'm actually glad you brought up the whole K2 thing. We're halfway done, bro. We're halfway done. We still haven't seen K2.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Haven't seen K2SO. It's probably gonna be
the
that
show
in
is
the
so
next
serious.
arc.
I think so. Also, it's kind of how do you feel about this whole 3-episode releasing thing so far? Because now that we're halfway done, I gotta say, it feels so quick. 2 weeks and then Andor's done, dude.
Yeah,
Forever.
yeah. I mean, that is, like I said, it's a catch-22 for me. It's like I hate it because I'd like it to be spread out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the way they're doing the storytelling in these 3-episode arcs, like if we spread it out week by week by week, okay, episode 1, 2, and 3, ooh, cool. Then we get to 4, it's going to be kind of a reset because they're going forward to 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean, because it is a 3-episode arc. You do feel
Yeah.
that difference in each arc and everything. You couldn't watch episode 2 and then jump to episode 5 and expect to really know what's
Right.
going on. You have to watch everything in the way it's meant. I've noticed that it's not really a Lucasfilm choice either. According to Tony Gilroy, this was something that Disney decided. I think it is because of what you were saying of like that reset around episode 4 and 5 and 6. If you look at season 1 for Andor, the middle is where it dipped really hard, and then it just started gaining back momentum at the end. Like the last 3 episodes just built up until the last one, which did more views than the premiere. And so there's a lot to be talking
And
about.
the format that each arc is 1 year apart, the countdown to Rogue One, you know what I mean, the countdown to New Hope. Having those time skips between each of these arcs would be kind of weird if you're watching them on a week by week.
Yeah, that is very
basis.
true. Because then some people get confused, like, all right, was every episode a year, or is it only 3 months an episode? Like, it doesn't really make sense. But damn, yeah, it's funny to think about a year from now that we'll in that timeline we're going to skip another year by next week and everything. But it's honestly wild to me that the Andor series is like halfway done now with the season finale. Like we're after Andor, yo, it's over, bro. You got Ahsoka season 2. That's gonna be nothing close. Star Wars television. It's
You don't know.
coming to an end,
I
man.
know. Andor's is a high bar, but give us
Yeah, man, it's hard.
We'll
No,
see what
Ahsoka 2.
happens.
Ahsoka season 2 is not going to hit that, man. Ahsoka season, even if it does, I mean, no matter what with Ahsoka season 2, the Star Wars television era. I know we talked last week about a rumored another one working from the Lost creators and everything, but the Star Wars television era, bro, that's done. And even Tony Gilroy has constantly talked about like the production that went into this was only manageable because Kathleen Kennedy like basically demanded it for season 2 and was like, no, we really can't take a budget cut because of the way it looks and everything, and that they already committed to 2 seasons prior to doing season 1. So it's one of those things where it's like, damn, bro, this is the end of an era because you might not see another Star Wars show like this again. Like Star Wars might be over forever. Out on the road today, I saw a Star Wars sticker on a Cadillac. There was a little voice inside my head saying, "Don't look back. You can never look back." Oh, god damn it. Speaking of looking back, you want to talk about the Ghorhman fucking massacre? Apparently, did you know this is from Expanded Universe as well? I mean, I've heard about it for years. Yeah.
There's a discrepancy because here's a discrepancy. We had the original Ghorhman massacre was from the Tarkin novel,
and I remember reading that when that came out,
which is Legends. Years ago. Yeah. So, and that one happened 2 years before A New Hope, or not 2 years or no, 2 years into the Empire.
Okay.
Or something like that. Yeah, 2 years into the Empire. And then Rebels has the Ghorhman massacre, which made Mon Mothma resign from the Senate, which is right before A New Hope, right? It's a couple years before A New Hope where we're getting to now. So they both call them the Ghorhman massacre. So there was a continuity issue, but again, it's not a continuity issue because they made Tarkin as Legends, right? So it's like, okay, well, this and that. So what they did is they kind of made both of them become canon again. So the Tarkin one is the original
version,
Ghorhman massacre, which would have the monument and where he landed the ship down, right? And the real massacre's coming, which is what their whole ploy is with Krennic, because they want to mine this planet and they want to set up, and a bunch of people are going to die, on this planet. So that was that, which I thought is a kind of interesting tidbit. You're right. Normally, just watching it aren't going to know all that. But it's one of those things that you don't need to know that to watch it. But if you do know it, it's like a little extra. Oh, cool. Kind of nice a little bit. The one thing I really, really, I loved Ghorhman. I did. I really loved Ghorhman because like we said, really lived in. Still looked and felt like it was a part of the Star Wars galaxy, but it was so World War II French partisans.
Yes, even when they were speaking, and I learned later reading
it's based off of
post
French.
about it that it's based off. But like when they were talking, I was like, is this like real French being spoken in Star Wars and everything? Like I was like, what?
No, it's gobbledygook with a French accent.
Yeah, well, it reminded me of that Italian guy who did like the song, but it sounded like English, but it was like gibberish at the same time. That's kind of how I thought of it. Yeah, so when I heard that, I was
my
like,
mom's favorite Italian singers.
That song was actually pretty good too. I'm not gonna lie, but no, I agree with you. The whole Ghorhman thing I thought was genuinely very good. One thing I loved about it was the foreshadowing throughout the entire thing of Cassian coming in and being like, "You guys kind of suck at this," because there's these. Well, it's everything the ISB was trying to do. It's everything that Deidre was doing, everything they're setting up. And in this, you see these French people, I guess. You kind of start a revolution, everything. Cassian gets invited, and everything. They want to have like I guess a more military presence. These are all kind of very rich people because Ghorhman is like considered like the luxury of the
not
world,
all
everything
of them.
like that.
They are rich people. The ones that are like the Ghorhman front are made up by most of the rich people.
Yeah.
But like the guy that was arguing at the meeting, and the guy we saw at the end who was perfect looking. He looked like one of those burly French bakers.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Bro. He looked like your average Joe. He's got 2 kids at home that
got
give
the
him
sleeves
hell.
rolled up. He's harvesting
wife makes
grain.
some lunch every day for work and everything like that. No, all these people feel real and genuine. But my point with these people being like very rich and everything like that, the Ghorhman front, is because Cassian exposes all that, where he's like, you guys don't really know what you're doing here. The lady approaches him at the dinner thing, and it's like, oh, you're the designer. He's like, you don't know who I am. I could be anybody. Everyone could be dead because of this. And then he tells Luthen they're not ready, and then even Vel and Cinta, we'll get to them, their whole thing later, but that was foreshadowed too, where they were like, do not bring a gun, follow orders, and then the guy brings a gun. So I loved everything about the Ghorhman arc because, and I know the next 3 episodes are going to have a lot about it too, but it just genuinely shows kind of the ignorance with some of these people.
But it's not even you got your finger on it, but it's nothing to do about them being rich. The planet has rich areas because of but that's their only export. Okay, and there's people who have become wealthy because of it, but most of the people are just regular, average people. They're not rich. Why they're inexperienced is because is the same way France was inexperienced in World War II. They lost words that they really didn't know what they were doing. They needed help. You know what I mean? And that's what it was about. It was the fact that they're innocent. They've never had to really fight wars, and they feel like they have to do something, but they don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I know, but then the father at the end of it is like telling Cassian, he's like, "Oh, tell your friend I'm not impressed by you." And it's like,
because
who the fuck do you think you are?
Because no, here's the thing. No, I understood that part. And Luthen wanted him to be that way for what Luthen feels is the right reasons, but what Cassian is realizing is, oh, you're using Ghorhman as a sacrificial lamb, which is what it is.
He's building it up, so there is that chaos. He's doing
he
the
wants them to be inexperienced because he wants it to be a massacre, because that will wake people up. If you have this planet Ghorhman that that like, this is where the rich part comes in, that the planet is rich. That it's a well-known planet, one of those kind of stars, bright stars in the galaxy that has exports, and it's like Paris, you know what I mean? And it's so for Ghorhman to fall, not some little backwater world or outer rim world, you know what I mean? to something like that, that would make people notice. You know what I mean? Like when there's floods in Sri Lanka, people are like, "Oh, that's such a shame." You know, "Oh, that's horrible." But if
Those
a massive
poor people.
right, but if something massive happens in the middle of Paris or something, and oh my god, oh my, you know what I mean? That's
That's
because that's
a
how
big
people.
deal. Yeah, we value Paris. We value Ghorhman. And
Right,
everything.
right.
That's the whole
Fuck
design
the
of the place.
lives. You know how many lives are lost. It's oh my god, it's Ghorhman.
The fabric, it's all gone. Right. What are we gonna do?
Exactly.
But no, I do like everything they did on that planet. Even the way they have it integrated with the whole ISB stuff with Cyril and Dedra and everything like that, where he is working there because that's how they started the whole arc. Is he's like walking through, and it's almost like the opening to a movie where you hear his mom talking to him. She's like, "Oh, I guess I'll just imagine your face now." And then the father even says something when he listens. He's like, "The mother's terrifying."
He played it perfectly because that whole point was to get the Ghormans interested in him and to feel he was the perfect candidate, which he did spectacularly well.
He saw them watching and everything. Yeah, it was perfect. Like
right, and it was all to impress Partagast. It all because he wanted to impress Partagast. Because he needs.
Thank God he had his mother too, because the way she talks and everything like that. She's like, oh,
he could talk to her honestly, for hours, and they hear all of this shit.
A loop. Yeah, but it threw me for a loop too, because at the beginning she was talking about, oh, you went to Ghorhman, and I was like, okay, so in my mind I was like, does he not know about what Deidre's doing there?
No,
like that she
I
actually
knew immediately.
Yeah, for a second I didn't really know, but then
they were working together.
Like, yeah, after a minute or two, I was like, oh, when
she said, "Oh, you left her behind, you just left her," you know, and it's like, no, he didn't. We know he didn't. She's going to Ghorhman. We know she's going to Ghorhman to deal with stuff there. I thought he would have taken
the money. You know, my favorite scene throughout the entire thing is when he came home and he's like, "How long do I have?"
Turn off the lights.
You have an hour. She's like, she's like, "Turn off the lights," and he's like, and he keeps talking. She's like, turn
off
the lights. I was like,
lights.
I don't find you people attractive at all, but that was hot.
That was a command. That was a command from your mommy.
Oh yeah. Cyril says mommy. Cyril says yes, ma'am, to his woman. Right. All right. She definitely wears the pants. Well, and she's higher up.
But we saw that the whole thing she did with his mother was saying, okay, listen, he has mommy issues, and now I'm his mommy. Okay, you are done with this shit. Okay, I'm taking over now.
Yeah, I'm laying the ground rules. This is my man. He might be your son, but this is my man, sweetheart. But even the scene with what's the guy's name who played Kybin from Game of Thrones? Patagras or whatever the fuck.
I said Patagast.
That's his name, Patagast? I have no idea.
Patagast,
but he is phenomenal in this role as well. And I love the scene with the three of them actually like talking about what they're doing at the ISB and infiltrating. And he's like, this might be the happiest day of my life. And he's like, I don't know if that's good or
bad. And she was supportive. She was. You could feel
she likes his weirdness.
Pat on the head, like, good job.
She's like, I'm happy for you. And it's literally just this guy, but because I saw it through, especially when I watched it the second time today, because I watched it, I think Tuesday, but I kind of zoned out at the end and fell asleep, but I rewatched it again today. And one thing I love is that like Cyril never really got to that level with the Empire because he was fired so early on. So
and that's why he needs that approval. He wants that approval.
That's all he wants. That all he wants.
Yeah.
So to get it from a very high-ranking ISB guy like this, who's very like on the inside and in the know and everything like that, that is just such validation for Cyril.
And you saw, like if he was explaining this to his mother, for example, before he was like with Deidre, she'd be like, "Oh, you're being stupid. You're being dumb. No one's gonna care about it." You know, and like when he was bringing the information to her. And he was like, but this is really, and she like seemed like that's not going to be enough, you know, but you could see she was trying like to let him down, like softly, not like trying to like hurt his pride or hurt his, you know, like his mother would do.
She take him down a notch.
Yeah. She just tries to like, it's not going to be enough, but not like hurt his, like I said, hurt his pride or hurt his ego because she knows that he's just going to become like he was with his mother, that he's going to be useless. So she needs him. And it almost has me questioning, while they do have a relationship, the whole shut off the lights, it almost seems like they are using each other at this point.
I think
did you notice
he wants
that?
to climb. I think he wants to climb the ladder. And I
Yeah.
think eventually she's gonna have him kind of help. I think what's gonna end up happening, the whole anxiety attack that we saw her having in like the trailer and all that shit. If I were a betting man, just for the impact of everything, I think Cyril should die in the Ghorhman massacre, and
But
she
here's the
freaks
thing.
the hell out.
But did you notice when he saw, and we're gonna get to it, when he saw Senti die and he saw what happened, did you notice that he seemed to, there was a sense of he felt for them?
Not
And
only he
because
felt for them,
he was undercover, right? But he started to feel like he started to associate with these Gormans. You know what I mean? Like he
Mhm.
felt for them. I saw that in his look when he was looking at. He had his look of kind of like sadness. What was happening with them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, he had some
So
empathy, and I think he's
yeah,
seeing the human element of all of it, and them, and the wrong, because it is a completely different. This is how the world works in general. Like me and you, we could talk about the whole wars happening in Middle East and everything. Me and you have never stepped foot, or at least that I know of, but I've never been over there. So who the hell am I? And so he's probably feeling the same thing, where he's like, I've come from this such authority, like just literally what his mother was doing, where she's like, "Oh, that's anti-imperial propaganda from Gorman," and he's like, "Well, hang on, I don't know, he was faking it, but he's genuinely there, living with the people, seeing what's actually going on, feeling for these people and everything like that." It This show has a great tendency of making all the characters feel very real and describable. I can tell you the character. This is the thing you couldn't really do with the sequels, with like even the main cast. A lot of points, it's like you couldn't really describe their character traits in like a very meaningful way. I can do that for almost any character in Andor at this point, even some of the smaller characters who aren't that big of a deal. One of the best examples I think was the episode where Cassian is the designer and he goes to Gorman and he's talking to the guy who's like a bellhop and
I forgot what
he's
his name
asking
was.
him about.
Varian Sky, but I'd like to think I'd like in my headcanon he's Vidal Sassoon. But
I'll take
that's
it. I absolutely take it. That's a good fucking name. I mean, he looks like one too. But Cassian like looking over his shoulder, seeing if he's like catching on. He's like trying to get little information out about him about the whole Gorman massacre and everything. Stuff like that. You learn so much about that. I could tell you right now about that bellhop is that he was 12 years old when that massacre happened. His
yeah.
dad died, and he's lived there forever. His wife does not want him to stay there. They think they should
And
leave. That is
he's
so much.
gonna die in the second.
You know he's
massacre,
gonna
right?
die, and I know all that about him from a 1-minute scene, dude. That is well done writing. Like truly, you don't get that in other Star Wars shows. So it's sad to see sometimes how great the show can really be with those small moments, those small scenes that
Dude,
stick
there was
with you.
just so much little things. Like people are like, oh, why are you flipping out about the Vespas in Boba Fett? Because they were ugly, right? Did you notice? Now, Vespas were big in World War II Europe. Okay. France, they drove them around too. Did you notice in the scene when he was walking through the street, there was that little guy in a Vespa, little blue scooter that drove by that actually had a shape or gave you, even though it wasn't a Vespa, it was a Star Wars hover thing, but it gave you a feeling of that's what a Vespa is more than those weird, colorful fucking
They
shit.
felt
in Book of
very out
Boba.
of place. Well, and
Yeah.
honestly, it's more than likely because of the production design of like Book of Boba Fett and what we have here with Andor. Like Andor, clearly, it's not. I don't even know if it's a money thing. I think it is a talent thing as well. Of they have the talent of making the stuff feel so damn
Well, it's not even the
real.
money. It's what you do with the money.
Yeah.
That's the deal. Which is where again we keep pointing is where the Acolyte failed. They had a lot of money and way less episodes, and what did they do with it?
And
Jack shit.
I would. This is why I need a major in finance. Is I would love to just work at Lucasfilm and be like, can I just look at the Acolyte and like see what the expenses were? Like, what did you spend all this money on? Because it is
Which they
absolutely
haven't
insane.
broke down. They're never going to break down what it was spent on. They're not
Oh God,
because
no.
they
Oh
know
God, no.
they know it'll be embarrassing.
Well, and it was 50 million on pre-production alone, and that was considered insane. So it's like, how the hell is that? How does it look so bad and this look so good? And it's
Yeah.
about the same price. And this is 12 episodes as opposed to 8, but we've been down that road so many
And
times.
the Acolyte had what, maybe 3 sets total? It was like the same sets reused.
Yeah. My favorite example of them being poor for that show was when Chimere and whatever the twin name was, they landed on the planet. And it literally cut from them landing on the planet to them being outside the ship. They wouldn't even take the time to show them like landing, the door opening, them getting. There's no breathing. It's just laying on the planet. They're out there. They're talking like it's just beat by beat. It's awful. It's awful. But I want to get to the Saw Gerrera stuff because we were talking about how beautiful the show is. one of the greatest shots I think I've ever seen in Star Wars history, Lunga, was that shot of the we saw from the trailer of that like traitor laying on the ground. The X-wings behind him. They're on Dakar. I think that's the planet from The Force Awakens where the Resistance was at. And you see the X-wings get up and it goes out into hyperspace and everything. Is that not peak fucking Star Wars,
It's
dude?
great.
It's
It's
and
fucking
it's Saw
great.
Gerrera too. Forrest Whitaker is a phenomenal actor. I think, and we talked about this a little bit before the show. This was the one arc in this
Yeah.
entire 3-episode batch arc that we had that definitely felt a little out of place. Now, I liked it. I actually genuinely liked every single scene because that's the thing. When
Yeah.
you have good writing and you have a great actor like Forrest Whitaker, it really doesn't matter. When he's on screen, I'm
Yeah.
watching and I'm
It takes over.
intently watching. It does take a
It
to me,
takes
it's
over.
people said Al Pacino overacted in, like, The Irishman and everything, but for me, it's because it's Al Pacino, and I think he's doing a great job. I'm like, "I get it, I'm watching it, regardless." Like, there's certain people that are just like that. I think Forrest Whitaker pulled that off in these 3-episode
Yeah.
batch that we just watched, and
He did.
honestly, I think the craziness, it works for me. It really does,
Oh, I
because you
love
need
it.
to
I
see that
love
polar
it.
you need to see that polar opposite between the calm, cool, and collected that Luthen has and everything. The only thing I didn't like was that it was that what is his name? Wilton?
Wilton,
Miltum?
yeah, Wilton, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Will, the kid who's gonna die
You
probably at
mentioned
the end
how
of the day.
everybody's you cared about. This is one of the ones I really didn't care about him.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this kid. It's not that I don't like him, I just there's nothing I have, I don't,
There's
I got
supposed to be
enough
a connection
characters at
because
the
his
moment.
father died in the first season.
Yeah, yeah, but
That's
his father
supposed to be
wasn't
the
a big deal in the
connection,
first
but
season either,
right,
Like, his
right.
father wasn't a main character or anything, like, it makes sense and it's fine. I think because Brazos has died, it has made it feel like a
Oh,
lingering like, you didn't think
it's
you would see him again.
with him. It was supposed to be more of it was the connection that it was Luthen that sent him. Okay,
Yeah.
that's supposed to be the connection, and it's supposed to show the juxtaposition of the way Saw Gerrera sees the rebellion, the way Luthen sees the rebellion, and even the way Mon Mothma sees the rebellion, and even the way those idiots on the jungle in the first arc see the rebellion. You know what I
On
mean?
the
That
Yavin
you
4,
see that
yeah.
all these cells, and even if you go outside of this, the crew of rebels, you see how all these cells have their different views on the rebellion and how to handle things. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
when we saw that in Rogue One, he's this big linchpin to Rogue One, that it's showing us that big juxtaposition, which is important. It felt out of place just because at this part of the story, or at least in this arc, I don't know where it fit in this arc.
Because everything was so focused on Ghorhman, and even the stuff with Luthen and,
Right.
Kayla, Carla, whatever,
I mean, I know he
they had
mentioned the Ghorhman front when he was talking to Luthen in the first season, the Ghorhman front, but
Yeah.
that was it. So it felt weird. But again, it's showing us that, and it also gave us history, unanswered questions about Saw. When he talks about Rhydinium and what it does to you and how it affects your vocal cords and what it does, and so we're seeing that, okay, he's crazy and talks that way because all this time he spent around Rhydinium, not just around it, but like huffing it intentionally.
Are we not
Do you smell it?
friends, Jin?
Do you smell it? Yes, take it
Yeah.
in.
And, that's another thing someone complained about. Someone was like, "Is this guy, like, drugging this kid and everything?" I'm like, "Yo, this was such a powerful moment." Like, even though, like I said, every scene that he did was beautiful. I love the scene where he's talking to the traitor. You can see the eye,
Yeah.
like, the revelation where he's like, "Oh, you need to know the variation, so you need to know where we're going, so you can know the variation." Well, here's the you could see just the gears turning in his head, the
Yeah.
calmness and then when he shoots the guy in the head right in front of the kid, like, that genuinely a shocking moment. But
Yeah.
him giving that speech, him being like, "You're not with Luthen, you're here. You're right now.
With
We're
me,
gonna
yeah.
die, bro. Me and you, we're dead. We're not gonna make it to the Republic. But fuck it, we're here now, right?
It's
Let's
not
do
a
the
matter if, it's a matter of when.
Exactly. Like, honestly, that stuff is really powerful just because of the shots and everything like that, the way they framed it and everything. You have the X-Wings in the background, the light with the rain coming down, but then he starts breathing in the air and that poison gas. And
Which now
what
makes
make
you question his little hair, which everyone kind of assumed in Rogue One and stuff, that it's, he's
those pure
damaged
air,
lungs.
like oxygen.
It's damaged lungs. Yeah. So he needs but the way he breathes that shit in, that's how huffers do it.
Yo, he's taking a hit. He's taking a hit.
And it's always right before he's going to say something crazy.
No.
You know, he comes and pops off with something.
Know the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad they gave him some time to shine in this one. Before we get into like the big one about Cinta and all that shit that people were really upset about, I did want to kind of slightly mention big actors. Jimmy Smits is notably absent from his role as Bail Organa. And I know there's been much to be made about this, Lunga, and I will be making some much with this. I think this was a bad idea. I don't think the performance was bad or anything like that.
First of all, Benjamin Bratt, if you're going to have someone replace
Smits,
Smits,
phenomenal actor.
Benjamin
Bratt,
actor. I told you before when we were talking in Discord, through years and years of knowing both actors, okay? I was like, Benjamin Bratt looks like he could be related to fucking Jimmy Smits. They look like each, okay?
They could have been brothers in the series or something.
Okay, so him replacing him for this one scene that was really quick, we had to see Bail Organa because he's going to die in a couple years. Alderán's going to get blown up. Okay,
he didn't have to see him. I didn't feel like he had to see him.
Yes, you did. I mean, Bail Organa has been listen, you can't have all this stuff with the Senate and Mon Mothma and his lead up to A New Hope before Alderaan gets blown up and not see Bail Organa. You have to see
Bail Organa, and it's not Jimmy Smits, and it's not like he's
Jimmy
dead.
Smits is fucking busy.
Yeah,
it's no one's fault. Yeah. Okay, it's not like
it is someone's fault.
Fuck Jimmy Smits.
Okay? Someone scheduled this. Someone made the schedule and they did not factor in Jimmy Smits. That is what happened.
Sorry. They had to revolve the entire production around Jimmy Smits's 30-second appearance that he might have made.
He is the only one there who was there back in 99. All right. You're talking about a 26-year veteran in the franchise.
Mon Mothma, because her scenes were cut. The actress who plays Mon Mothma was in Revenge of the Sith.
You're talking about 2005, though.
Okay, shut up. She was in Revenge of the Sith, and her scenes were cut.
2005.
So she actually is a legacy actress. She's from the prequels.
Yeah, and she was in the show. If they had recasted her, we'd all be like, "What the hell?" Jimmy Smits has played Bail Organa since I was a kid and before my dad and my granddad.
And this wasn't a creative choice. This wasn't a let's find someone else. This wasn't a
get him in the reshoots. You couldn't phone it in.
Talk to Jimmy
hologram. I want to talk to Jimmy Smits. I'm pissed.
Old, man. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with all this shit. Maybe he doesn't give a fuck about Star Wars the way you do. Did you ever think about that?
Oh, so he'll do some Sons of Anarchy, corny fucking...
Yeah. Because they probably paid him more for that than this 30-second scene. Okay.
And he actually got to put his hand on the bikes and everything, and everybody else around him was real, as opposed to what George was putting him through. All right, Jimmy, just go ahead and step on that green dot over there and just look at that picture of Padme.
Again. I believe Gilroy, because he did come out and talk about it. I believe him because he says, "Listen, we really wanted him. We tried. We really tried.
Mm-hmm.
She just couldn't get away." So
it just hurts, brother. It just hurts. That one cuts deep. I'm not gonna lie. You know what also cut deep? Cinta died. Yeah, you remember Cinta? I remember. Apparently, this actually got a lot of people upset because people were like, "Oh, this." I will say, because we talk about the whole quotation marks woke snuff in Star Wars.
That's so irrelevant to everything.
When you have a well-written character, it doesn't matter, Lunga. And what happened with this is that people threw this show off, and people on one side of the aisle are upset just because these two girls kissed, which I think is just beautiful. And it's people on the other side of the aisle are upset because their diversity representation was killed off. And how dare they? I think it was beautiful. I think the whole thing.
Should we one more time mention that they're all gonna fucking die? Fucking Cassian. Cassian is gonna die in Rogue One. He's dead. Okay, we know Bix is gonna be dead because he's fallen in love with Jyn Erso. So we know Bix is gonna die in this. Okay, I guarantee you, Luthen's gonna die. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
The only one that's gonna make it out of this is Mon Mothma. maybe her cousin, but I think the fact that she mentioned how I want to know what's going on with my cousin because I care about her, I think Vel is going to die too. And that's going to be like Mon Mothma's sacrifice. She lost her cousin other than her best friend, X. Okay.
Well, I think now that Cinta's dead, Vel just doesn't even care anymore.
Well, again, I'll be honest. The character of Cinta, I really didn't care about it because she was just very brooding and there wasn't a lot of character development with her, to be honest with you.
No, her whole character was, I'm in it for the cause. She was just
right.
I'm in it
for the cause. I'm in it for the cause. I'm in it for the cause. I'm gonna lick a little pussy. I'm in it for the cause. That was her. that was her character. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it wasn't fleshed out. And they tried to flesh her out all at one time in that cafe scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
they tried to flesh
true.
her out all at one time, and then she dies right afterwards. So the character just wasn't fleshed out. And this is another case of people loving the character just because of who she is rather than what she is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, she's gay. That's why I love her. But does the character have any qualities? Was there any good dialogue?
Tell me about her personality. Yeah.
Just because that was it? That's the bar? You love her just because she was gay. But she was representation. Okay, great. Yay, representation. Cool. There wasn't much to the character. There just wasn't much to the character. I'm sorry. If you want to be mad at Tony Gilroy about anything, don't be mad that they killed her. Be mad that they didn't flesh her out before they killed her. That I could at least that I can understand. If they said, you know what, I really wish they would have did more with Cinta before they killed her. That I would at least say, okay, I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but they didn't flesh out the character. The character was literally meant to be just a foil for Vel. It was meant to be a foil for Vel and a foil for the greater, because you saw what her death did to that whole scene, what it did to the Ghormans, what it did to that kid. And Val's, dude, okay, you killed the gay character. She's gay because her partner is gay. Vel is still there.
But she's white,
the other gay one is still there. What
she's
the fuck
white.
are you talking about? Count. She wasn't gay alone. Okay? Vel is there. Vel's impassioned. Look at me. Look at me. That was fucking awesome, bro.
Yeah, she's like, don't you cry. She's like, you will live with that forever. And,
yes.
And I'm almost surprised she didn't mention that, like, yo, like, you just killed the love of my life, dude, and everything. But you didn't need that's the stuff that
she
kills me.
She wanted to leave that apart. She
absolutely,
didn't want
absolutely,
it to sound
because
personal.
It didn't matter. Yeah, it didn't matter. She knew what this is what people kind of upset me with, is that they are upset about how she died and everything like that. It's like, well, you talk about the show being so well written, but you can't even see foreshadowing in a show like this because it was very easy. Them saying, don't bring guns to this. Cassian saying, you guys aren't ready for this. All the warning signs were there. And I even loved, you talked about the guy who, like, the average Joe guy, the French looking dude.
When he goes and he fights the carrier.
That's the thing. He and this kid ended up killing her, and he doesn't even get upset. He doesn't overreact or anything. He just immediately gets to work and he picks her up and everything like that. It's very
he was
sad.
Just annoyed that his kid, who he knew was like a little pussy. He wasn't like, he's gonna, like,
absolutely,
what are you gonna, you're not doing nothing with that gun. Put it away. Like, I'll be more mad that it's real. Not because you're gonna shoot me with it, but because you're holding it and I know you're not gonna do shit with it. You know, that's what he was pissed about. You're not. I know you're not shooting me. Put the fucking thing down, okay? Because of an accident can happen, which is literally what fucking happened.
Exactly what happened, huh? And that's that stuff that, believe it or not, even though it is simple foreshadowing, it is beautiful because you do see so many layers of this average guy getting into an accident and having to, take responsibility, picks up the girl. That's a very beautiful moment. Cinta, who, just reunited with her lover, dies after they kind of got a little closure on the relationship.
I just thought about
it's his first time. Pray tell.
The blonde girl that was supposed to be the driver, the one that made them go after to try to find her.
Oh yeah, she did.
Did we see her anymore after that?
No, remember they said, like, something happened with her where, like, I think she got skittish or something like that and she bailed or something like that.
Well, she didn't bail. She walked off because she heard something. Remember, that's why she was the old woman. The old woman. She was helping the old woman. She needed to get out of here.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And she was walking her back. And then they went to go look for her. Hey, where is she? And then the guy went off. And then Cinta followed it because she saw what was going on with them arguing. And then we never saw the blonde chick again who left with the old lady.
I don't remember. I really don't.
She was the one that started that whole everybody walking off into the alley.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I remember
And then
her walking with the old lady.
Then that scene was just so dramatic to me that I completely forgot about her. And then just
Yeah,
now I thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute.
Because she was one that they focused on in the meeting, Vel and Cinta. They like talked to her. They had a little tit for tat.
She
with
was
her
the one
too.
they thought was going to be the bigger problem than him. He was a dumb kid.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, she was the one that worried about it. She should be the driver. She should be on the roof with us. That's what Cinta said. She should be on the roof with us. Well, they should have another driver, shouldn't they? And she wasn't.
Oh yeah, I don't know. That is curious. I don't. I mean, the problem is that the next episode is going to be a year apart. So if there was,
yeah, they're not going to get any. We're not going to get any explanation of it. Just like they, like they skip. Like I mentioned it when we watched the first 3 episode arc. I'm like, did I miss something last season? Did Dedra? When did Dedra and Cyril start dating?
Yeah, they started dating.
And it's like, right. So they skipped over that because it's like, okay, you should get it. You saw this. Now here we are. This is the logical evolution of what happened from here.
And that's a great way to put it. It's logical because this show doesn't treat the audience like it's a bunch of idiots. It expects you to keep up with the basic shit. And it makes sense. It flows very well because,
which is why when I remembered that, you mentioned it, I remember that scene where they looked at each other. I'm like, oh, that was only like 45 seconds, a minute of the finale.
Yeah. They get into that little closet and she's like about to hit him with an object and they start. But I don't
blame the writers for that. I'm like, oh shit, I should have remembered that. I blame myself.
Those small moments, and it matters. Everything about the show, almost every shot, every frame, every scene, it does matter at the end of the day. And honestly, I think that's why it is genius. Do you want to give our rating? Do you have any final thoughts you want to give on the episode? Oh, wait. I do want to talk about the whole Luthen stuff with Kayla and everything like that. Lonnie and everything, the critic stuff. I thought that was great.
Yeah, Lonnie was cool.
That's my problem with the show is that there is so many things going on.
So much
that
we saw the whole subplot of because Luthen's always on his ass, right? I would need more information. We need more. You need to work harder. You need it now. Like, that's why I brought you down here. Because this is what I heard. The moment I found out, that's why I brought you down here. You feel bad for Lonnie because Luthen's like browbeating him all the time. He's like, motherfucker, what do you think I'm doing? Okay. Every second my life is in danger and I'm still doing it. So shut the fuck up.
Well, and he even said he's like, I think there's only like 3 people in the entire world who even know this information.
Seriously.
Dude. Like,
be fucking
what
happy.
What else do you want from me? And see, this is so much about the show. Did you notice that Deidre's assistant from the first season is now like her equal? And
lieutenant. They both had the same bars.
I love that.
And he took over
the Axis
her project
stuff.
Of Axis.
Absolutely. And then the guy from last season, one of them, he was like he's talking to Lonnie. He's like, "Thank you for that," because Lonnie was like, "Yo, we're just arresting too many people. We don't get it." That's the
how
stuff
can I pay you
about
back?
seeing how the
Take me to
Empire
lunch. Why? Because at lunch is when you gather information. You start talking about things casually over lunch, and you start to figure things out. You'll get a few information about things.
Did you hear about the Ghorhman massacre? Yeah,
that's how you
disarm spiders out there. You know,
right?
It's stuff like that because it is such small details, but you do see how the Empire works and everything like that, and how they're building stuff. I loved but I really loved poor old Lonnie being like fake flirted with, and then just
but I mean, but she told him right off the top. They're good.
Absolutely. But like her hand bleeding, trying to turn the thing and everything. So much tension, dude.
Yeah, but you don't think her trying to get that off took a little too long? It felt way too long.
I do think it dragged on
too much tension.
30 seconds. The tension got so high
that I started to become numb to it. It's like, okay, at this point I know she's gonna get it off. Just come on.
The tension became so high that I was like, yo, someone is gonna turn around and be like, hey, something's going on. Like, I feel disturbance in the force.
You know she's not gonna get caught. Right? You know she's not going to get caught at this point.
Because
it's like, okay, come on
crazy.
Now.
That would be crazy. But I mean, but if she did, and if she was able to pull off, like, oh my God, I broke this. Oh my, I'm so sorry. I don't know. But I think it was done decently.
I liked how they had Lonnie explain what the artifact. She's like, why do you like it so much? And what is it? And then, what is it? And then Lonnie explained it, that it's a Braille type book.
Well,
and he
because
explained the
you
whole
definitely
thing.
can't have her show it with her hand bleeding all over the
Yeah,
goddamn fucking
right.
braille reader and everything like that. But even small stuff like that, even the little braille object, we're like, oh, in this planet, it's actually considered a disability to see and everything like
Yeah.
that.
But it
It's
showed
extra
how, like,
sense.
he was all nervous, right? I'm not doing this. This is crazy. What are you doing? That's chronic. Okay. He
Hmm.
was so nervous. And then suddenly he became fucking cool like a cucumber, and then just explained that whole fucking thing.
He's learning the game. He's playing it well.
Yeah.
I love that at the end that they were walking out and Luthen was like, "Yeah, we should have killed Krennic while we were at
Yeah.
it." You know,
And they were
it's
laughing.
y-
They were having a good time. It was like that nice
it,
little,
it, and that's that stuff. That's the stuff you don't get anymore with Star Wars. The kind of like hints of it's kind of
because he
fun.
felt
That was
bad.
nice, you know.
But that plays back to when he was yelling at her about it. Like, well,
Yeah, but
you
he was
shouldn't
right.
have. No,
He
no,
was
no,
right,
no.
though.
That was the whole point. The whole point was, well, you should have put that there. You knew I was putting it there, but still, we got nothing out of it. We got all this, but yeah, but still, you should. That's what the whole. It was him. He's always right so much that he wants to be right every time, and everybody else is always fucking things up, and he couldn't accept that this is just one of those situations that you couldn't control. And he was taking it out on her.
Absolutely.
He was taking it out on her. And she's his closest friend and confidant in this whole situation.
She
And
knows
is most
everything that he
loyal
knows.
and knows everything. So then at the end, that was more of a, oh yeah, okay, I know I was being a dick. That's what it was at the end when they were laughing. It was like, I know I was being a dick. I'm sorry. You did a good job.
Because like he said, he was getting overwhelmed. Like he's like, we have so many messages coming, going, like it's hard to tell what's what. And you can see that with both of them because it's almost like the Sith rule of two. It's really just those two who know everything, who have built this network of spies and everything like that. Like it is very complex. But yeah, let's give our ratings for this 3-episode arc. I think we should just keep doing it like that because individual episodes it's too weird.
Are you going first or do I me?
I'm gonna let you go first because I don't I know what my score is, but I just want to see.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Obviously, it was good. It did slow down for me in the middle. It started to drag a little, but it paid off at the end. So the drag didn't feel as bad once I got to the end. Because to me, you really feel the drag when you get to the end, and you're like, why did I fucking just sit through all that? Okay.
Yeah, if it's unsatisfying at the end, it's very noticeable.
But it was really satisfying in the end. Bix getting what she did at the end was like, oh shit! I didn't see that coming. I didn't know that's what her mission was going to be. I'm like, oh fuck. Yeah, that's cool. That's fucking awesome. So everything paid off. But because it slowed down a little bit, like I said, I can't be just like the shills. I can't just be overly glowing about this thing is fucking perfect. It's not. There's you could find little issues here and there, and that was one of them for me. I felt it slowed down a little too much, and inevitably in a lot of these shows, those middle arcs always start to slow down. It happens on a lot of shows, even big good ones, Game of Thrones. Listen, I could watch The Sopranos, and there'll be those middle seasons. It's like, fuck.
Middle seasons. The first season and the last season. That Kevin Kennedy shit. He goes in that little coma thing. I fucking skipped those episodes. God forbid.
Right. But so it's not going to be as high of a rating for me as the first 3-episode arc, but it's still good. It's still 8 to 8.5 for me.
Dang, I think you're definitely a lot lower than what I have it at. I think despite it feeling a little, I still think this is great. My debate was, do I give it an 8.9 or do I give it a 9?
Okay. I go in 0.5 increments. I don't go by 0.1s. Okay.
Well, and that's why I was like, because last week,
8.9.
what
are we doing?
Because my caveat was
fucking skating in the Olympics here. 8.6753.
This is
it's like
this is Star Wars longer. This is a big deal. Yeah, no, we got to be as accurate as possible. So when we look back and we tally up this entire franchise, we have an accurate rating about where things are at. 9.5 for Andor, but is it a 9.4 for Mando? Like, what's the difference? Yeah, but yeah, no. With me, I'm gonna have to say a 9 because I don't want to do the 0.5 increments there. Last week was a 9.5. I think this is a 9 truly because I do think it was great. I think all the monologue was actually fantastic. We didn't even really get a lot of time to talk about Mon Mothma or anything like that, or Director Krennic, because there's just so much happening in the show. In every scene, I do feel like it's very engaging.
She was doing the whole running around trying to convince people
Getting the
to
senators on
vote.
her side and everything like that, talking about
The
the
Ghorhman
Ghorhman
senator
stuff.
was the big one, and he's like, "Listen, I can't." You know, so
They
that
even
was
have like a
huge.
Senate meeting going on. So I
Oh,
really like a lot of that stuff.
we didn't even talk about the whole party atmosphere that they were doing, because what's the best way for something like the Empire to keep people distracted? What we see in the real world, it's by TMZ
Oh
bullshit.
yeah, Bix was sitting there
Oscar
watching
awards,
TV
the
of
this, the
these
that,
like
right?
future sci-fi ladies with the audience in the
Like the
background, just kind of like
entertainment
you would see
shows.
here. Yeah, it was The
Yeah.
View. It was The View in Star Wars.
Yeah, well, they
God
were
help
talking about
us.
this was, I mean, it was a political thing, whatever. I forgot what day they called it. It was something, but it seemed to have a lot of the pomp and circumstance of the Oscars. Like they were talking about all the after parties. Like remember how the
Yeah.
Oscars have all those after parties well, these are ones after parties by different senators. And her husband was even like, when you started, you waited years before you did your first hosted your first after party, and now there's like what 7-8 new senators all doing it, and she's like, you'll figure it out, you know, because he's all about the lifestyle, you know.
Oh yeah, no, he likes to party.
And my favorite part of that was there was a paparazzi droid. It literally said in the fucking credits or the subtitles, it said paparazzi droid flashing pictures.
Yeah, I remember seeing it, and it was like, oh, Mon Mothma, Cinder Mothma over here and everything. And it was flashing like a paparazzi would and everything. Those are those small details, just like that little floating disco ball from the last one at the wedding. I love, bro. That's why this show is a 9 out of 10 for this 3-episode arc for me, dude. Like this series has this ability to really make it a story, a very well written story, a very well written like ensemble cast.
Yeah.
Just happened to be set in the Star Wars universe. And the Star Wars aspect of it looks, I mean, it's the Rick McCallum thing. Every single frame, it's so dense. There's so many things going on and everything. It's like that, but instead of CGI that Lucas did, it's actually real shit.
You know, and like I said, I only saw one person because it's all over my TikTok feed, and I couldn't fucking avoid it, just like you couldn't fucking avoid it. But you know what? It needs to be said. It needs to be said. All right. Us have said, and other people said this, that listen, guys, if you want to support Star Wars, or you want to see Star Wars, this is the show to do it. Okay? Mm-hmm. This is the show to do it. You need to watch it so people see that Lucasfilm sees this is the kind of shit, the level of production, not necessarily the story. Like, if your ideal Star Wars story is about the lightsabers and Jedi, sure, but do it with this level of care and production. That's what we're saying.
Absolutely. Or don't do it at all at this point. Just don't do it at all. If it's not going to look this good.
It's not about saying I support this story, you know. It's about saying I support this level of writing and crafting. That's what I support, and this is what I want to see more of.
Professionalism,
right? And the biggest Star Wars fucking YouTuber is got to like basically discourage everybody from fucking even watching it. I'm done with it. It's fucking garbage. It's listen, bitch. You know what? Everyone's entitled to their opinion. You're entitled to your shitty opinion. But fuck, dude. If you really care about Star Wars, if you really care about Star Wars the way you say you do, this of all shows you're gonna talk about it like it's the fucking Acolyte. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Is your level of, do we gotta use the words that these fucking assholes on Twitter use? Is your level of fucking media literacy that low?
Oh God, yeah. I hate that fucking phrase so fucking much.
Yeah. But dude, even a fucking idiot can look at this and go, yeah, it's pretty good rewriting. Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to be a film student to see how good the writing is in this. Okay?
And even just the quality of care and everything like that. Like the production design, the fact that everything looks like you can touch it and everything. People talk about the Revenge of the Sith and re-release and everything like that. Oh, it looks so great in theaters. Let's not play these games here. There's so many shots in Revenge of the Sith that look fantastic. Then you see the shot of, you know, Obi-Wan sitting on the little salamander thing next to Commander Cody, and it's so clear that they just CGI Tamara Morrison's face on all these fucking fake bodies. Like, some things don't hold up well. I think today, like at this moment, because of everything that Disney has given us in the past 10 to 15 years, Andor will probably be the most the longest lasting kind of legacy with fond memories, I think, in Star Wars.
The most
Because
rewatched at the end. It's good. It's gonna be
the most
rewatched.
rewatched, the one that's gonna age like fine wine. Because as time
Yeah.
goes on, the Acolyte's gonna get worse. Kenobi's already gotten worse. Book of Boba, Mando season 3, Mando season 1 and 2. People have already kind of looked back, whatever. But Andor, you're not gonna have that issue with. The sequels haven't
And I
aged well.
think you're gonna have people that are stubborn, don't want to watch it. That as long as Disney keeps it on the streaming service, that a year or two from now they're gonna go, what the hell? I'm bored. Let me check it out.
Oh yeah, no. Especially as
mean?
people get older too. A lot of these like very devout, like almost religious anti-Star Wars fans and the people in like the culture war over all this. I think when you do give it a shot, or when you do kind of mature, like even like the YouTubers who are like, I don't want to cover this. I don't like bricks and screws and Star Wars because it makes it feel
Again,
too
we
realistic
know
and everything.
why. Because
Well, it is an attention thing.
negative shit gets the views. So if he talks bad about it, it's going to get more people tuning in. If he's talking nice about it, people are going to be like, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not watching
like you said, what kills me with it is that it is the care that goes into a show like this. And if there's, and I kind of wish I was more active with YouTube over the past couple of years. So during something like this, it'd be easier to cover.
Right. The motherfucker can notice what kind of fucking bolts they're using, but you can't recognize the level of fucking care that's going into the set design.
Well, they took this from the script that he wrote. You don't remember that? That's from my script.
Right. That's right. Everything's from the script.
Everyone's a critic now, Lunga. Everyone's that's the problem with the internet, is that people like me and Lunga can just make a podcast, come out here and tell you guys what's going on in the world. But at least I feel like we have very nuanced opinions. That was the whole thing with Chatooine at the beginning. What? Is differing views.
We'll have people in the chat who completely fucking disagree with us.
All the time. That's all we do.
Cool. Okay, cool. If it's not your cup of tea, fine. It's I get it. Whatever. I liked it. Okay, or we have people that they're like, oh, the Book of Boba wasn't that bad. Like, okay, if you like it, cool. But
we told the guy who was in the Book of Boba live on the show.
Yeah.
It.
Right. He tried defending. We're like, Brendan, really? Yeah, it wasn't that good. I felt a little Larry David Kirby enthusiasm in there. It wasn't that good.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't think so.
It's not a middler. I don't know what you're gonna do. It's just it can't middle. It just can't middle.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we'll be back, of course, next Thursday night to cover the next great episode of Andor. It's going to be another 3-episode arc, and it'll be the second to last time we get to do this. It's all coming to an end, damn it. The end of an era.
Again, don't use the word end again like we're never coming back again. You did it last time, and I told you that was wrong. Just shut up.
No, I was talking about the shows, the end of an era with the shows. Like the Star Wars shows after this, bro. We got Ahsoka season 2 next year. There's nothing else coming out this year.
Yeah, but you're making it sound like a finale, like Star Wars shows are over, period. It's not the case.
Yeah, no, it's over. It's over.
It's not.
It's done. Nothing like this will ever happen again. The movies ended in 83, bro. Like, it's just done. It's so sad. But before we close out the show, of course, big shout out to all the channel members. I don't even know if these people are still members, but Grievous Reborn, Tom, Katie Miller, my boy, your boy, the Cloney boy. You guys have just been loyal, tried and true. They're all of Chatooine's trials and tribulations. Maybe in 2027 for Starfighter, we'll get cameos like with Ryan Gosling or something like that. Kind of like we did with season 2 of The Mandalorian, because there were so many cameos that season. We even ended up in the series. That was a good time.
Yeah, we were there. But I was there.
I remember. God damn it. I remember. Well, thanks for tuning in this week, guys. We'll see you next week. May the Force be with you always.